Hey everybody, it's Eric from EPAutos.com, your libertarian car guy, and I thought I would do another rant, sort of a follow-up rant, on the subject of electric cars and the homogenization of transportation. This rant is prompted by somebody who posted on my site accusing me of having an anti-electric car bias. And secondarily of not appreciating that indeed there would be differences between one electric car versus another, contrary to my argument in an earlier rant that an electric motor is an electric motor and a battery is pretty much a battery, and there's really not much that you can do to make any meaningful driving or other difference between one versus another, other than one being quicker than another, let's say, or maybe it's faster charging or something like that, but nothing like the difference between, say, a mighty Hemi V8, as in this Ram 1500 that I'm still driving, and a wheezy little four-cylinder, just to kind of put that into some context. At any rate, I think here's the key thing. The main thing other than the drivetrain that differentiates one car from another these days are things which have become kind of generic. And what I mean by that are things that used to be formerly found only in higher-end cars and luxury cars. Initially, it was things like air conditioning, for example, power windows and locks. You go back to even the 70s, the 80s, and those were considered luxury car features, and generally only luxury cars had them, and they were usually optional on lower trim cars. Now every car has at least air conditioning, power windows, locks, pretty good stereo, yada yada. Once you get up to about $25,000 or so, you find that not only do they have air conditioning, they've got climate control air conditioning, and most power options are given. Most 2018, 2019 cars, even the lower end cars, and by that I mean cars under $20,000, usually have a touch screen, have Bluetooth, lots of electronic features. Certainly once you get up over, say, $30,000, it's par for the course that you're going to have a good stereo, you're going to have power everything, you're going to have most of the latest apps. And here's where we get back to the electric car thing. Most electric cars cost well over $30,000. So once you're at that price point, it's assumed, it's a given, you're going to have a lot of electronics in the car, and the cost of the electronics has come down to the point where it's not any longer something that's exclusive. It's getting very hard, for example, for high-end manufacturers, Mercedes, BMW, and Lexus, to come up with things that really set their cars apart versus the bread and butter stuff. This is really striking. I mean, I'm aware of this because I test drive new cars for a living, but if you don't, if you go out and let's say take a test drive in a new Toyota Camry, or let's say an Avalon, and those are just bread and butter kinds of family sedans, get one of those that's loaded up, and then go take a drive in an S-Class Mercedes. Okay, the S-Class Mercedes is a $100,000 car. The Camry, loaded with everything, is going to be about $35,000 or so. Avalon a little bit more because it's a little bit bigger, but nonetheless, about a third the price of this six-figure car. There really isn't that much meaningful difference anymore, one versus the other, in terms of the amenities, in terms of the quality of the stereo, in terms of, oh, I've got heated leather seats. Well, check, I've got that in the six-figure Mercedes too. Got that in the $35,000 Camry too. You'll find a few things in higher-end cars that you won't find in the lower-end cars, such as massaging seats, let's say. But I see no reason why that's not going to filter down to the lower-tier cars as well. So anyway, we're going to get to this nexus of democratization, if you like, where pretty much all cars have all those features. It's already almost there. So how are they going to separate one electric car from another car? And why would you pay $80,000, let's say, for a luxury brand electric car versus, say, $40,000 for the bread and butter electric car? I can't come up with a single reason other than, well, the $80,000 electric car has a three-pointed star badge on its hood, and the $40,000 electric car has a Chevy badge on its hood. You know, I know that there are some people for whom just the exclusivity of having the ability to pay more money makes it worth paying more money. But it's kind of stupid when you think about it, when they're functionally pretty much the same thing. I just don't see much of a future for these high-end brands, really. There may be a few that remain, but I think that if this electric car thing actually does come to pass, and I'm hugely skeptical about it for all kinds of reasons, which I've already ranted about and won't get into in this video, but hypothetically, let's say that it does happen, I think that we are going to see a reduction in the number of luxury brands by half or more. I think half or more of them are simply going to go away because there really isn't any reason for them any longer. Probably among the ones that I think are going to kick the bucket if this all comes to pass, Porsche. Why buy a Porsche? What makes a Porsche a Porsche? Okay, if you can buy a Tesla that's just as quick as a Porsche, and they are as quick as a Porsche, they're quicker than most Porsches. The S model Tesla goes 0 to 60 in, I think, 2.9 seconds, something like that. You're not going to get much quicker than that. The limits of physics, limits of traction, we're already at the point where cars really can't get that much quicker. So what's the point of buying a Porsche? If it's electric, I mean. A Porsche now, with its cool Boxer 6-cylinder engine and the other things that make up, mechanical things that make a Porsche, and something like no other car will be gone. You'll have a body that looks like a Porsche, okay, but who cares, really? I mean, okay, you got a body that looks like a Porsche, but, you know, so what? It doesn't have any performance advantage, doesn't have any personality difference, really, versus what you'd get in a Tesla or any other fast electric car. So what's the point? So I wonder whether the people at Porsche and some of these other brands have sat down and really thought this through, whether they are whistling past the graveyard by giving the electric car tar baby a big double-armed hug like they're doing. So that's my thought for the day. I'll have more up at epautos.com shortly about the electric car thing. And I will have the review of this truck up later today. It's finished. I just have to add a couple of images and videos to it. It took me a while to write it because there's so much to write about this truck, and most of it is good. I think you'll be interested in it, particularly if you're interested in trucks. So stay tuned, and thanks for viewing, and we'll catch up with you again soon.